Hello everyone, and welcome back to another mini concept regarding physics, this time about the second law of motion. So, the second law of motion, or the law of acceleration, expounds on the first law of motion. So, whereas the first law of motion talks about objects with balanced forces, or they are at rest or in motion, this law expounds on what happens when they're experiencing unbalanced forces. So, how do we explain this? So, for example, let's say that this ball is experiencing three forces: the normal force going up, which is 10 newtons, and the gravitational force going down, which is also 10 newtons. Now this is negative because it's going down, and I have an applied force going to the right of 5 newtons. So this is now a situation that calls for the law of acceleration, and the law of acceleration basically is expressed in this formula, where the summation of forces, or the sum of all the forces, like when we add all of these numbers together, is also equal to the mass times the acceleration of an object. So let's say that the mass of this object is 1 kilogram. All we'd have to do to be able to get the acceleration of an object is to add all of them together. So that's 10 minus 10 plus 5 is equal to 1a. Now, since we can just simplify, we're basically going to be left with 5 divided by 1 is equal to a. In other words, a is 5 meters per second squared. And that's how we use the second law of motion. So we're basically just getting the sum of all the forces, and we're going to be using the mass of an object to solve for the acceleration. And this formula can actually be used in many different ways. You can derive force, obviously, using this equality. You can also get the mass, and this formula will be very useful in many different situations, which I will expound on in the in-depth concept. So please, if you guys want to learn more about this, don't miss that video. So thank you everyone, and this is the second law of motion, or the law of acceleration.